Ready?
Ready. I'm Lisa Tremper Hanover. I am the founding director of the Berman Museum of Art in 1987, and I'm currently the interim director of operations, all of which means that I do multiple jobs with the museum. It is a great joy to work on an academic campus because what we do integrates throughout the living and learning environment. And I was prepared very well for this because I worked for Berman Museum for a number of years in a corporate art collection where I had to deal internationally with all levels of art transits and installations and foreign governments and customs and marketing and changing light bulbs, unpacking crates, doing condition reports. And that's what one brings to a small academic museum. You need to be able to multitask, but you also need to be a strong administrator, and you have to understand how the administrative structure of an academic institution works. And so I found that I was very good at doing those kinds of things. So being the administrative leader of the organization is coupled with working in the trenches with your staff and with the artists and with the collection and with the donors. So it's everything that I've always wanted to do when I started as an art history major, and museums have really been my lifeblood. I received my undergraduate degree from the University of Richmond in Virginia, and I decided to major in art history after taking an art history survey course. I originally went to be an athlete, so to switch that kind of orientation because art history just so thrilled me. And so majoring in art history and not really sure what I was going to do with that major, but loving it. I ended up going to graduate school at the University of Southern California in Los Angeles. I was going to go on for my PhD and be a college professor, but I volunteered at the Fisher Art Museum on the USC campus. And the director, Selma Holo, took me under her wing and really gave me the opportunity to flourish in a museum environment. And I knew right then that that's what I wanted to do with my life. And she was just a wonderful mentor. She still is. She still is at the Fisher Museum at USC. And she is the one that introduced me to Berman Museum. She was also the one that introduced me to the Bermans and to Ursinus College when this opportunity became available. So at the tender age of 30, I moved from Los Angeles to Collegeville to take on this great adventure. It was so revealing to me. I didn't realize you could have a career in museum work.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people do.
Showed me that. I know, especially when you're at a liberal arts college, which is not like a university where you're just on a one track. You're a biology major, you're this major, you're that major, whereas art and art history have so many tracks to it. You know, most of art historians go on to become PhD professors or curators, specialists in a particular field, and that's all that they focus on, very narrow. I was fortunate that I was interested in a lot of different disciplines related to the museum, and I started as the registrar and a collections manager, so I was always working with art and loving it. Yeah, typical day. Well, you know, you're a slave to the computer and emails, so you want to make sure that you're just on top of everything, all the correspondence, both within the museum and on campus and also externally. And then I'm really disciplined in terms of having a plan for the week in terms of I want to get my donor thank yous out. I want to make certain phone calls. I want to make sure that my staff has their priorities in order. But usually chaos reigns and a phone call or an email, and in COVID times, a Zoom call will come in and we have to pivot and address the situation. Witness sculpture vandalism, which just happened on our campus this past weekend. What do? We need to mitigate it immediately. We also need to make a communication to our campus audience about what has happened and what those ramifications are. So very quickly, Catherine, our collections manager, Jill, our senior vice president, and myself crafted a plan and a message, and immediately rolled it out this week. So that's just an example of how you have to be flexible enough to just adapt your day. Some days we're installing exhibits, and that's another one of my favorite things, is to set installations and to work with our preparators and then get up on the lift and set all the lighting. And that brings, great satisfaction, because I'm not just here to navigate administrative things. I feel that the creative side is working with the exhibits and with the collection. The most challenging aspect of my job is navigating personalities. You have artists, you have administrators, you have visitors, you have collectors, you have colleagues, all of whom are very passionate about what they do and who they are. And obviously, if I'm interacting with them, they have an interest in the museum and our program and what we do. And so navigating all of that, I think, takes a particular approach and talent, but it can be challenging. And I've had numerous situations where I've had to temper discussions. I've had to keep a donor happy, but other decisions were being made, and so there was a lot of tension. So I find that to be challenging, truly.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think you navigate that well.
Thank you.
You are the person right for the job.
Thank you. Oh, my favorite part about the job are our visitors. Working with the students when I was here for my first 25 years was an absolute joy. Couple that with our visiting public and their enthusiasm, their passion, their dedication, their support. They would come to our exhibition openings and just praise the staff and revel in the installations and in our programs and the opportunity to meet artists, the opportunity to hear faculty of many disciplines talk about what it is we're doing. So easily being with our visiting public, whether it's campus or off campus, is the best.
Do you have a favorite memory from the Berman?
Oh, well, I certainly do. We, first of all, working with Philip and Muriel Berman was an absolute joy. Their energy, their global influence, and the fact that they were so interested in making sure the Berman Museum succeeded and that I succeeded was an absolute privilege and honor. They, in turn, introduced me to so many artists and so many living legends, including Françoise Gillot. And so when we had the opportunity to do her first major exhibition of all of her lithographs, her print editions, and to publish the Catalogue Raisonné, that was something we embraced and made happen. It took us 2 years to prep that. The opening night, when Jonas Salk, Paloma Picasso, Claude Picasso, Françoise, Jacques Merlot, her printer, all converged at the museum for a fabulous black tie dinner gala, was unbelievable and is very satisfying. And of course, the work we accomplished with that exhibit has been sustained over the past 20 plus years, and it's still the scholarly resource for her work. So I'm very proud of that and one of my happiest times. I think that when you're in charge of an artistic institution, it's important to know that you don't necessarily have to be knowledgeable about every kind of art form and every kind of artist, and even if you have a specific discipline, to be the expert in that. When you're the administrative leader and you're the face of the institution, I think it takes a lot of chutzpah. It takes being comfortable and confident to be out in the community and in major collegial gatherings, because you're representing an institution. So what you really need to know is intimately what your institution means, what your museum means, and what Ursinus College means. it's such a pleasure for me to be back at the Berman, coming full circle at the truly the pinnacle of my career, and working with the staff and the students here has been a great joy. And maybe the pandemic was good, because instead of being here for 6 months, I've been here a year and 6 months. And I love it.
And we love having you. Well, thank you
you
very much, Lisa.
Thank you, Teddy.